Good morning, warriors. It is good to see all of you. I know you guys are in good hands with Mrs. Blackshear. Please join me in the pledge to the Bible. I pledge allegiance to the Bible, God's holy word. I will make it a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. I will hide its words in my heart that I might not sin against God. Join me in the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I know you've been working through your catechism. Let's jump into, this one's our covenant, and this is where the relationship that God has with us, he does it in a covenant way, not a contract. It's not, if we do this, then God will do that. A covenant is a relationship that God has with us, that he swears by himself to do these things. So let's start with that one, and I know it's a little bit tricky. So what is a covenant? It's a relationship. Oh, sorry. Let's start out. Mr. Locker's going too fast. What is a covenant? In the covenant of life, what did God require Adam to do? To obey God perfectly. What did God promise in the covenant of life? Have we done this one? We did not. Okay, so let's try this. Thank you, Kinder. Way to go, Matthew. All right, so what did God promise in the covenant of life? So the covenant of life, the relationship that God established with man, is to obey God perfectly. That was the terms of the covenant. So what did God promise in the covenant of life? The answer is to reward Adam with life if he obeyed God perfectly. So repeat after me. To reward Adam with life if he obeyed God perfectly. Let's try it again. To reward Adam with life if he obeyed God perfectly. Let's put it together. What did God promise in the covenant of life? To reward. Let's try it again. Sorry, Mr. Locker's going too fast. Sorry. What did God promise in the covenant of life? To reward Adam with life if he obeyed God perfectly. So those are the terms of the covenant, that if Adam, who was our representative head for all of mankind, if he obeyed God perfectly, he would have eternal life. We're also in talking about the virtue of carefulness. Mrs. Blackshear did a wonderful job talking about carefulness. This week I want to continue talking about carefulness, but actually I want to talk about the opposite of it, carelessness. So let's start with carefulness. If a student is careful, what would be some things that student would do? What would a careful student do, Owen? On a test? And what would they do? If they were careful on a test, Owen, what would they do on that test? Got the handwriting, right? They'd be careful with their handwriting. What else would a careful student do? Xavier? Check their work, right? Wouldn't just blast through it and then turn it in, right? They would go back, they would look through their answers, they would take their time. They would not think it's a race to get the first test in, right? That they want to do their best work. So a careful student would take their time, check their work, go back, double check things. Now, what would a careless student, a student that didn't care about their work, what would be some things about that student? Clary? Say that loud. Right, maybe they would cheat, right? That would be very careless. What else, Bailey? Maybe. What would a careless student do, Liam? Right, just blast through there as fast as they could. Right. Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. So they wouldn't care about their handwriting. They wouldn't show their work. It was a math test. They would lose points because of that. So a careless student wouldn't be taking attention to the details. We've been talking about all of these things all year in the terms of virtue. Virtue are things that we do to qualities that we're trying to hone to a fine point of excellence. If you want to be an excellent student, a virtuous student, then you're going to be a careful student, not a careless student. And these are going to be things that we'll talk about this week as far as reminders of what the virtue of carefulness looks like for you as a student. This is also the month when we're looking forward to Easter and singing our song, Up from the Grave He Arose. Today we're going to continue working on being careful as a student, not careless as a student. And as all things, it's no excuses, We have no excuses that we're going to continue to pursue virtue. The Lord be with you.